weapons are all about. About 800 years of the Roman army, which even for those eagle-eyed amongst you can see the Greek stuff in the corner, that's still a Roman soldier who would wear that, but he'd be a wealthy, relatively wealthy soldier to be able to afford something like the helmet, the body armour, the big round shield and the spear. And it carries on like that. You have to buy your equipment throughout the whole period. Even today, or in the 1st century AD, which is what I'm typically wearing, I get deductions from my salary to pay for my armour, although it's issued to me by the state. So one size fits all, and you just squeeze the soldier to make it stay on. So, and there's various different bits and pieces. If you look around, you'll see that basically what we're trying to break up is that Hollywood image or TV image of a Roman soldier, because if you go to before Julius Caesar, in the early days, they'd be wearing Greek stuff, and then they adopted ideas from other peoples and they went into the chainmail. So the soldier's back there with the big red shield, the conical helmet like this one, and the chainmail, the ringmail, is actually what a soldier serving under Julius Caesar should wear. So in the series Rome, they should be dressed like that.
I was just supposed to ask you that.
Yeah.
So how true is the series Rome to what they would have worn in that period? It's not. Is it totally wrong?
It's not totally wrong. They've got the, like television and film work to the spirit of an idea or an image. So invariably what they do is they copy things from Trajan's column. Trajan's column is a piece of propaganda. Okay, so it shows you legionary soldiers, the citizens of Rome, all dressed in this segmented armour. All the auxiliary soldiers, these are the guys recruited from the provinces, are shown wearing ringmail. You see, and it's just an artistic convention to say, aha, here's our glorious citizens, and there's the others. You know, and it's really that. It's that sort of idea. And this is why I'm trying to do it, to break down these perceptions and just say that actually the auxiliaries and the legionaries were all the same sort of equipment, and it just depends on where you pick in the timeline as to what you see. So typical soldier of the invasion of Britain 43 AD and a bit onwards, obviously if I come to Britannia I'm probably going to get rid of my Mediterranean style military boots and put on closed boots. Now one of our guys is wearing closed boots. I think he might be up that way somewhere. But if you look, he has a oh, right, okay. Something had gone wrong there. Okay. Anyway, right, he's got closed-in boots and not these, which are what we call the calagai, with the studs on. These are ideal in good weather.
Yeah.
And if your feet do get wet, you know, like wading through a river or something, the water just flows out and you carry on with your feet dry. They're also excellent. You don't really get many blisters either, because your feet don't sweat inside a closed-in boot.
Yeah.
But we know that when you come to a country like Britannia, that it gets a bit wet and cold at times.
And muddy.
So most of the archaeological finds of footwear, certainly up near Hadrian's Wall in northern England, show to be closed boots, so they're all, like our normal shoes and boots of today. And then we've got socks as well. They know we have trousers, braccae, long sleeve tunics, and this is brilliant because I've got a linen under tunic, I've got a woolen over tunic, and if I'm really cold I put another tunic on and another one. You see, it's layers. So it works quite well. So this is the typical thing. If I was to show you a Roman soldier at the time when apparently all the Romans went home, it was at 4:10 on a Tuesday, I think, 410 AD. That's what it's all quoted, isn't it, in the books? Oh, they all went home. Well, this was their home. Why would they go anywhere else?
Yeah.
But what it means is the army had pretty much disappeared. What army they had, they could beg Boris Steele, been marched back into Europe as various people from Britain tried to take over the empire. So they all took the soldiers they had. What was left, they didn't disappear, they didn't go home to Italy because they were lived here.
Yeah.
So they stayed. So we are all the sort of descendants of various Romans and Angles, Saxons, Jutes, Normans, you name it. But at that period, the guys would be wearing closed-in boots, long trousers, long-sleeve tunics, be carrying round shields like the light blue one at the back there, and a spear, and a helmet somewhat similar to this one. And then if you start and think, what does a Viking look like? Round shield, big spear, helmet, long-sleeve tunic. You're thinking, oh, now we see. So the soldier at that period is not wearing this. That's what I'm trying to say. He's not wearing the short skirt and the lorry. So it all changes. Fashions change. And I try and remember, if you think Romans were in this province or in Britannia for the same period of time between Elizabeth I and our current Queen Elizabeth II. Now, any of you still wearing Tudor costume? You don't have to admit to that, but I know someone does at home. You know? Right, so, but we don't, do we? So things have moved on, and that's the point. It's really to sort of break down this idea that we all look like this from day one to day whatever, 8,000. And it's the same with the helmets, the weapons, the healing, the javelins change, the shields change.
I noticed you've got a modern helmet back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is principally because right. Put that one, just rest it on your hand, that one, and rest that one in that hand. Which one's heavier? About the same, yeah. Quite scary, isn't it? Now if I tell you that my body armour, this one I'm wearing, weighs 10 kilograms, and the modern stuff weighs about 10 kilograms, perhaps a bit more nowadays because they've uprated it a bit, but the early stuff was about the same. So from head to toe, when we're out there marching around, I'm carrying about an extra 28, 30 kilograms, about 60 pounds extra weight on the body. That includes shield and weapons.
Yeah.
That's about the same that most soldiers, most infantrymen have carried throughout the ages, because any more and you start to get bogged down by it. It's not until you get full plate armour, go on a horse, let a horse carry the weight. It's not strictly true, but that is just an idea, just to give people an idea that...
Have you got the two different swords then?
Yes.
The horseman's...
Right.
Because the horseman's is
gallop
longer.
through swords. Right, here we go. Quick gallop through swords. Right, early days. Greek stuff. Copies. And xiphos. Okay? So, two Greek pattern swords. Hello. Greek sweet.
I'm going to Aldi, guess what we're having for dinner?
Go it. Alright. Two different sorts of blades. Both Greek in style. This one is more, slashing, got a bit of point on it. This one is actually favoured of cavalry. It's actually take an agricultural tool and turn it into a weapon. So it's a big, heavy chopping blade. Okay, now you imagine that's got a sharp edge all the way along there. It isn't. It isn't, so that's why I can do this. But that's the idea. You see how that big long cut? So that's what that's for. So that's what the early Roman soldiers were using. They're using what was fashionable at the time. They then had operations in Spain. In Spain, we encountered the Spanish sword, which was a little bit shorter and was very useful, very usually employed. And the Romans said, "Oh, we'll have some of that." Very good at stealing other people's ideas. So this is what resulted from the Spanish campaigns. It's a Roman sword. Now it's looking a bit more like the short sword that we're all familiar with. We'd call that a leaf blade, sort of. It's got that sort of shape. But that's that's a sort of early Republican sword. That develops into something like that. You can see that there's a sort of parallel with the blade shape. Okay. This one is more of the what we call Mainz pattern. Archaeologists like to name things for where they find them. So an example of this sword was found in Mainz. There's another one found in Fulham in the River Thames as well. But effectively it's the same blade shape. Okay, and you'll notice it's quite wide. It's slightly wasted in the middle there, and it's got quite a long point. And that's a lot of metal, and that's obviously expensive to produce. And when you're a tight skinflint government, you try and stave every penny you can. So you make it simple. Alright, so the Mainz pattern eventually gives way to what we call the Pompeian style. Again, guess where that was found? This is a Pompeian style sword. You notice parallel edges, shorter point, is slightly narrower and slightly shorter than the other one. But that's the one most people recognise as a Roman gladius. But if I was a Roman, that's a gladius, that's a gladius, that's a gladius, that just means sword. Simple as that. The only difference at this point is that many of our auxiliary soldiers and the cavalry, most of them formed cavalry, would carry a longer version, if you like, of this. So we call this a spatha. And it's basically the long sword, but you notice it's slightly thinner, but it's much longer, and the same sort of short point. Now, why would it be longer if you were a cavalryman?
You've got to reach down.
On a horse.
On horseback, you've got further to...
That's it, simple as that. I can reach down and put that into the head of an infantry soldier on the ground. Right, so that's what it's there for. Okay, so that's the cavalry or auxiliary spatha. As time moves on, lots more Germans get involved, recruited into the army, and they like long swords. So eventually, the long sword becomes the, if you like, the fashion fashion for infantry and cavalry. So you notice now we've got long blade, sort of parallel-ish, and a point on it, and that's really for both infantrymen, soldiers on the ground, and horsemen. Okay? And then finally, in our murderous gallop through swords, is that. Now this thing is an infantry sword, but you'll notice it's quite thick, sharp point, it can cut and thrust. And this is a copy or copied from a sword that was found in Canterbury. It's often referred to as a murder sword because it was found in a grave. And you think that the person in the grave had been killed by the sword that was chucked in there as well. Because at the time, if you'd been found walking the streets carrying a sword, and you weren't a soldier, you're clearly up to no good. So we do the deed, throw the evidence away, and archaeologists find it later. But you can see that's a big heavy blade, still single-handed, notice, no two hands. So
Did the Romans ever go to...
no, because it's all sword and shield work.
Yeah.
And you can't do that very easily. But this thing, I always think, when I look at it, I sometimes see parallels with Viking swords, just in the shape. I must get one actually, just to sort of give us a parallel.
Okay.
But this is a Germanic blade. Germans like big long choppers.
I thought they liked axes as well.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. That is a